So Multiverse of Madness finally gave us a live-action Illuminati, and it was short-lived. There doesn't seem to be any plans for a 616 MCU Illuminati anytime soon. I thought I'd have a go at trying to put my own version of it together. To start off with a couple of ground rules for myself and a couple of disclaimers. Only currently alive 616 characters allowed, so no bringing back Tony Stark as much as I want that to happen, kind of, not really. His story's done, but I want more Tony Stark. No more Tony Stark. So confirmed characters who are coming very soon or have been technically in stuff already, they'll be allowed. But no, like, X-Men, Fantastic Four, even Inhumans, I'm not going for in this. One small disclaimer is I'm coming at this from the perspective of a Marvel film and TV fan. I have very limited comics knowledge. So if I go against what the comics are, please don't kill me. The main guiding principle I've gone with for thinking of who I'm actually including in the Illuminati here is it's about protecting Earth. It's not about everyone from all of the universe coming together. It is a more Earth-centric group of people. The Illuminati exists as a group of all the leaders of each of the individual groups within Marvel. Now, the MCU doesn't have anywhere near as many established groups as the comics does, but there's still some that we can go over and try and take leaders from. So the obvious place to start is the Avengers. Problem is, we don't have that many Avengers at the moment. I mean, that's kind of shown by the fact that we're not getting another Avengers film till what, 2025? So I came up with a short little list of Avengers who still exist now, and who I think would be candidates for this spot. So the obvious leader of the Avengers to me right now, at least will be a leader of the Avengers, Captain America, Sam Wilson. The problem I had there was I felt like a group like the Illuminati, I just didn't feel like he fits in there. I feel like that's something that he wouldn't want to be part of. You know, Sam Wilson's done a very good, had Sam Wilson very much in a position where he's trying to have accountability for people. The Illuminati kind of goes against that. It's a small group of people making big decisions for everyone. Whereas Sam Wilson is very much a, everyone has to work together to find the solution for everyone. So that is, limiting my choice of Avengers here. The next one that comes to mind, Bruce Banner. Now, he was the one that I had written down for this when I first started writing this down. And then She-Hulk Episode 2, he goes shooting off into space. Might be leading to something like World War Hulk. In which case, yes, please, but it kind of throws a spanner in the works for me trying to put him in my Illuminati, but I still feel like it would be a weird twist to have Bruce Banner in the Illuminati, considering World War Hulk in the comics involves the Illuminati being the ones to send him off into space and then him coming back and trying to kill them all. The problem is, kind of running out of Avengers here. There's Clint Barton, who seems semi-retired again, and also wouldn't bring much to the table in the Illuminati. Just saying. The only other thought that came to my mind with this was Bucky Barnes, but he's got his own problems to be dealing with. So my Avengers slot, I'm going Bruce Banner. I think the Illuminati needs a brain in there. And with no Tony Stark, no Charles Xavier, no Reed Richards, Bruce Banner is a good candidate for that role. I think you'll see as I go through this, I'm kind of scraping this together a little bit. This was a much harder, problem to solve than I thought it was going to be at first. So I'm going to go into a bit of an easier group here, the Sorcerers. Now, obviously, in the comics, it's Doctor Strange. In 838 in the MCU, Doctor Strange was the guy who came up with the Illuminati. The thing is, that was also due to him being the Sorcerer Supreme. He is not the Sorcerer Supreme in 616. That is Wong, or as I call him, Magic Coulson. Just my little side note here on why I think of Wong as Magic Coulson. He is effectively to Phase 4 what Phil Coulson was to Phase 1. He is the guy who just crops up in everything to remind you this is all one interconnected universe. That was Phil Coulson's role before, except Wong is, magical. So he's Magic Coulson to me. If that also then means that Wong dies, comes back, gets a TV show, I'm down for that. Especially if that TV show is Wong and Ned. It's very much a 50-50 choice here between Wong and Doctor Strange for this sorcerer role. Because for as much as, in terms of story, with it being Doctor Strange the one who saw the Illuminati in 838, And they're obviously, Doctor Strange is the big name character. The film is called Doctor Strange, it's not called Wong. Whether it should be called Wong, I'm not against it. But for me, that role in the Illuminati as the representative of all the sorcerers should go to the Sorcerer Supreme, which means to me, the spot is Wong's. Now, a group that's not really represented in the comics Illuminati, but was in 838, was effectively space people relative to Earth. And in 838, it was obviously Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau. Is it just a straight swap? Carol Danvers comes in? I mean, probably the only real other group of people we've got outside the Avengers is the Guardians of the Galaxy. But like I said, it's an Earth-based group in my mind. So would you have a Guardian in there? The best candidate out of the Guardians, most people probably think Peter Quill because obviously he's human, but the person who seems to actually have more ties to Earth at this point is Rocket, because of all his time spent working with the Avengers during the Blip and then in Endgame. So Rocket is an option as effectively the Illuminati's guide to space, and someone to sort of help guard Earth against space, but really that is Carol Danvers. I don't think you can really talk your way out of it being Carol Danvers' role. So spot number 3, Carol Danvers. Now I've talked about someone from space being involved in this, but there's a group of aliens living on Earth. These are people who have a vested interest in Earth now because they live here. Here, like I'm actually in the MCU. So you've got the Asgardians. There's a very obvious choice of their leader of King Valkyrie, which is the obvious choice and is the correct choice. I'm going with King Valkyrie, but I have to mention Thor. But I think he's too busy being a dad at this point. But King Valkyrie brings in knowledge of the 9 realms and everything that Asgard knows about the universe in terms of protecting Earth. The Illuminati would be stupid to not have King Valkyrie involved. Now I'm starting to really have to stretch it on groups of people. But one that keeps being rumoured to happen, I said about it being, people already existing. This group doesn't, but the person I'm going to put in here technically has already appeared in the MCU, so I'm not cheating. There's talk a lot about the Midnight Suns, effectively a group of supernatural people. I don't know what the right word to use is for this, because pretty much everything is supernatural and it's hard to distinguish it properly from sorcerers. But having that knowledge of the supernatural world would be involved in, protecting Earth. Again, we don't have X-Men or Fantastic Four or anything like that, so I'm having to find other little holes of knowledge the Illuminati need to have. So my 5th spot goes to Blade.
His name is Blade, and...
Oh, no! His name is Blade. Is that legal? Shouldn't New Line Cinema be suing him?
he was called that before that stupid movie.
He was called that before the Fantastic movie?
Mostly because Blade is cool. Does he really fit? Probably not, but I mean, my other alternative was Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, but that's me just trying to, I do have to keep my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. bias in check, but 100%, if they're doing Midnight Suns, bring back Gabriel Luna as Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider. He's brilliant. And if you haven't watched the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes and that whole arc with him, go watch it. So before I get onto the actual person for the last spot, I wanted to have my one little honourable mention, which came into my mind at one point, that doesn't really work because he's not very good at collaborating in the MCU. He very much seems like I do my stuff. I know I'm in control of my stuff and no one else can have it. And that's Hank Pym. It would be an interesting one to have in there for sure. Like I said about having Bruce Banner in there as the brains. Hank Pym's arguably smarter than him. Arguably, it's two completely different fields. You can't quantify intelligence. But pretty much I'm not putting Hank Pym in there. It was just a weird little one that for a while I thought, do I include him? But the last one, because I'm going with the 6 that it pretty much always has with the Illuminati. It goes back to the comics in this thought of for as much as he's not in the Illuminati, Black Panther in the MCU probably would have been, T'Challa would have been possibly the first or second name in there for me. Obviously, we don't have T'Challa anymore. The reason, obviously, in the comics that he wasn't in there was because Namor was, and that is not a particularly friendly relationship. But obviously, we don't have Namor yet, and Wakanda is very much established as a country that is now actually interacting with the world, especially through T'Challa. So, MCU T'Challa seems like he would have been more likely to be open to the idea of an Illuminati than comics T'Challa would have been, or was. But with no T'Challa, I'm then thinking of a replacement from Wakanda. But we're kind of left in a state of flux at the moment. We don't really know enough about what's going on in Wakanda until Wakanda Forever comes out later this year. So, I listed off a bunch of people that it could be from Wakanda. Ramonda, Shuri, Okoye, Nakia, M'Baku, who is my sort of personal favourite. I do like M'Baku. And my first thought was just going to be, just say whoever comes out of Wakanda Forever as like the proper leader of Wakanda, or as the new Black Panther, or effectively whoever, whether it be just sort of filling the role of T'Challa or outright being the new Black Panther, whoever comes out of Wakanda Forever in that role takes that spot. But then I remembered Namor is in Wakanda Forever. I'm going to put Namor with an asterisk in as my slot number 6 because, again, we still haven't actually seen him in the MCU. And we know there's going to be changes from the comics in terms of his role in the world because it's not Atlantis, it's, and excuse my horrendous pronunciation of a word I'd only really seen written down, Tlalocan. I know I've said that wrong. But they wouldn't be changing the name from something more recognisable to less recognisable if they weren't actually making changes with it. So part of me is thinking that those changes will probably be in a way that would make less sense to have Namor in there. That's why I'm still picking him, just because he feels like I said, it's a comics thing to put Namor in there. But also, it seems like he is a more singular established leader than we have at the moment for anyone in Wakanda. So it still kind of comes down to whoever comes out of Wakanda Forever being the most important character there in terms of collaboration with the rest of the world and leading their people. But it will obviously very much come down to it's either someone from Wakanda or it's Namor. But it's easier for me to pick Namor as a singular person than Wakandan. But generally, anyone from that list of people I said from Wakanda could play a vital role in there. Wakanda's technology is obviously miles ahead of what anyone else has. There we have it. There's my current 616 Illuminati if we were doing it right now. In reality, I don't think they should do it right now. They've just done it in, Multiverse of Madness with 838 and then kind of just got rid of it straight away. But we need more distinct factions, really, that need to come together in a way that isn't just the Avengers to have an Illuminati involved. I mean, in general, I kind of would prefer the idea that I saw floated around that we kind of thought we were going to get in Multiverse of Madness, where the Illuminati wasn't for a singular Earth or universe, it was a multiversal group of people. Because that then kind of gives you that more need for, collaboration between separate, very clear, distinct groups of people. In that case, you could well have another, version of Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier, or even James McAvoy's Charles Xavier, actually from that X-Men timeline. You could bring in more multiversal variants like that and have a bit more fun with it, and just give the Illuminati a different role than we've seen them have before, because that is a big thing with the MCU. It's not about just doing the same thing the comics did already, because that story already exists. If you want to see the comics version of that story, go read the comics. So that's my 616 Illuminati. Let me know what you think yours should be, or if you think all of my ideas are terrible and they shouldn't do it. I'm open to that idea as well.